This is every single item in Baldur's Gate 3. Well, like 90% of every item that you should know about that is either worth having or worth building around. Basically, if it's not on this list, it's probably super niche, or I'm just really stupid and forgot about it. This will encompass 90% of everything. And it's going to be sorted by act per item. So like we're going to do all the like, you know, melee weapons, act 1, 2, 3. Then like all the bows, act 1, 2, 3. Okay, so Gif Greatsword, you get this constantly by killing Gif, or you can just pick one up in the Mountain Pass area. There's a bunch of these. This is just a greatsword that gives extra damage for Gif. So if you're a fighter, you just disguise as Gif. This is gained from the same area where you would get like the Spell Sparkler, and it just gives you another Bless that stacks with Bless as long as the enemy has taken some damage, which very easy. You know, most of your attacks are going to be against people like that. Speedy Reply just gives you momentum when you attack with it. It could be sort of good. Falar Aluve, this item is huge. This item can be gotten before like any combat, and this gives everyone like another guidance like effect. Or
this is definitely something you build around.
Yeah, this is something that you would throw on like your support cleric or your support character, have them activate the Shriek, and it just gives 1d4 to every attack for the entire rest of the game. It's one of the few forms of like DRS that still work in honor mode. Well, sorta. Knife of the Undermountain King. This is a Kresh item.
Kresh vendor.
Yeah, this is a Kresh item, and it gives you advantage on attack against lightly or obscured targets, so that's not super useful. It's good if you have dark vision, but this is why you use it. You hold it, and this is just that. It basically makes it so you need to roll a 19 instead of a 20 for a crit. You stack like 4 of these, and it makes you get like 25% more crits. This is the better version of the Gif Greatsword. It's literally just the Gif Greatsword. It just does more a little bit more damage, and it gives you +2 to initiative. This is a super niche item, but like I said, every item is going to be mentioned here that's worth knowing about. You can get this in the Warg Pens, and it gives goblins disadvantage on attack rolls. So you basically never get hit by goblins, and you get this when you would be killing the most amount of goblins in the game. Everburn Blade, you just use Shadowheart command drop on the guy in the Nautiloid, and you just use this until you can replace it. Club of Hill Giant Strength, if you are not a melee attacker, you might as well hold this so you can get the free 19 strength from it. Render of Mind and Body, this is an Act 2 item, and this gives you, whenever you attack with advantage, you deal an additional 1d8 psychic damage. So this item is actually really good because, yeah, this is a finesse weapon. So this can use your dexterity modifier, and this 1d4 with the dexterity modifier makes this actually do more damage than most greatswords will do, despite being a finesse weapon. This weapon is kind of an honorable mention. Whenever you jump, you deal 1d4 damage, and if you use fly, that does not consume your action for whatever reason. So if you have like 50 move speed, which is shockingly easy to get, this could effectively just be like you take your turn. You know, you do your attack, you do your bonus attacks, then you just hit fly like 7 times, and this is just like a free 20 damage that you can add onto your turns. This is a reward for Will's companion quest, which you can do at the end of Act 2, and this just lets you use... This is basically if you're not retarded, because some stupid people actually suggest like multi-classing into Warlock for like 3 levels so you can use Charisma as your attack modifier on Paladin, or just use one of the like 3 weapons in the game that lets you do that. Foe Breaker, this is actually an Act 3 item. And this weapon lets you ignore bludgeon damage, and this does bludgeon damage. So the reason why this is good is by the time you're in Act 3, basically everything has resistance to everything. So if you don't have some way to pierce resistances, you just do half damage constantly. Okay, Duke Ravengard's Longsword. If you save your barrels throughout the game, you can just instantly nuke Gortash and Duke Ravengard, and you can use invisibility and flight to leave the room and get out of combat. So you just drop your barrels, kill them. And this item is fucking insane. It's funny. I don't ever see those garbage build guides. This is how I know most build guides are garbage. They never mention this item. This can be a one-handed sword, so you can still use it with a shield, but it gives you +2 charisma Just want to point that out. +2 charisma up to 24. With Auntie Ethel's hair, the 1+2 hat, and this sword, this is just a full extra bonus to your charisma, the most popular casting stat, whatever. Or if you use this on a charisma attacker with like warlock levels, you get this. Oh, by the way, you give temporary hit points equal to the charisma modifier. This activates for that person's charisma modifier. So let's say you kill something with this and the temporary hit points go to your whole team. Each person on your team, they individually roll their charisma modifier for it. So this is inarguably one of the most powerful weapons to just hold in the game, because you're constantly throwing out temp HP. It gives you +2 charisma, and you can use a reaction to you can use a reaction that you otherwise would not use at all to turn it into an attack. So this allows you to weaponize your reaction on builds where you weaponize your bonus attack, and it's crazy. This is just something you hold in the offhand to add 7 damage to critical hits.
Rhapsody.
This is the best offhand weapon in the game. Gain one bonus to attack rolls and spell DC for every blah 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 blah. Also, this gives you an effect whenever you have these 3 to activate it to get a big stat bonus. But even if you aren't using it for that, this is just a +3 to your attack rolls, which basically guarantees you hit every attack. This item is kind of honorable mention. You get it from Jaheira by recruiting or killing her. The affected entity adds its spellcasting modifier to it. So this is another way to get spellcasting attack rolls. Okay, now we're going on to bows. This bow can be bought literally within 30 minutes after leaving the Nautiloid, way faster if you're going quick and running right to it. Yeah. And this is just something you throw in your offhand for +1 initiative bonus. Titan String Bow is one of the best weapons in the entire game. It allows you to do your strength and dexterity modifier, which on dedicated bow builds is basically just +5 to damage, which on top of sharpshooter being +10, you're just doubling the damage flat out. This item's fucking insane. If you've never played a bow build, then you should try it. You'll absolutely destroy everything. Darkfire short bow. So this is another bow you just throw in your offhand on someone who is not going to ever use their bow to attack. This gives you 50% damage resistance to fire and cold, which is the two, it's the most and the third most common damage type that isn't physical. Haste, and it allows you to cast haste for free. You literally can't go wrong by just throwing this on your cleric or something. And Hellrider longbow is exactly the same thing. Yeah. +3 to initiative. This is almost as strong as the alert feat. So this is just throwing on an extra feat. Oh, I forgot to mention, you get this from Damien in Act 2, and you get this from the Zentharium hideout. Now, real quick, you need to go do the gnolls on the high road, then go to the Spellsparkler girl area, and it's right off to the left there. A lot of people don't even know about that area, which is why they've never seen this bow, and they don't know how crazy it is. This is Deadshot. This is an Act 3 bow, and it's basically the Bis bow. The number you need to roll a critical hit while attacking is reduced by 1. So this is how bow builds would get access to that effect.
And then also use the knife.
Doubles their proficiency bonus when rolling ranged attacks. So this basically is adding your dexterity modifier ×2, which by this point in the game is going to be +5 or whatever. And this is just a direct upgrade to the Titan String Bow. I think I forgot to organize the staff, so you're going to have to forgive me for that. But this is just a bonus to spell save and spell attacks, and it just allows you, so if you're playing a Warlock, this is why you're using it. The Spell Sparkler is the Spell Sparkler. You basically beeline. You just immediately run. If you're playing a spell build or Magic Missile or something, you literally, as soon as you get off the Nautiloid, you just run straight to this. This is from the Mushroom Colony, and this is just an instant, this is just free +1 to spell save. And you get a free level 2 Acid Arrow spell, which is whatever, but you're just using this as a stat stick. Morning Frost is more involved to get. You need to get these 3 pieces throughout the Underdark and put them together. But if you're playing a cold build, this gives you flat 1 cold damage to everything, and this allows you to inflict chill. And chilled, if you don't know, if you make someone wet with, your cleric or a bonus action or whatever, chilled will freeze them.
Which is very easy to do, by the way.
Yes.
It's very easy to...
basically, you are doing this for this line of text. You hold this, you have your cleric, or you use an action surge to create water or something, and then you do like Cone of Cold or Ice Spike or anything, any AoE ice spell, and this just automatically, they have no saving throw against it, stuns them for a turn. So create water, deal cold damage holding Morning Frost, and you just robbed all your enemies of a turn, which is exactly as powerful as it sounds like. Arcane Blessing. This just allows your bless to work for spell attacks as well. So if you have someone who's going to be blessing people, might as well have them hold this. Rain Dancer just gives you create water. It's kind of shit, honestly. And Staff of Spell Power, you use it for this right here. Yes. This is a Raphael item, but this is the single best spellcasting item in the entire game. The next spell you cast doesn't cost a spell slot. So basically, you use Chain Lightning on this. So you would just Chain Lightning holding this, doesn't take a level 6 spell slot. Then you would be like a sorcerer, and then you would Chain Lightning again using your meta magic. Then you would like action surge and then like use a fucking scroll of Chain Lightning, and it's like, there you go, you just casted 3 level 6 damage spells in one turn, and you just instantly ended the combat, and you just doubled that damage. Or like for example, the most common route you'll see people do with this is they will do action surge, create water, then they'll do lightning surge with this arcane battery, Chain Lightning, then they'll do meta magic Chain Lightning, and it's like, okay dude, you're going crazy, because wet will double the damage of lightning spells. If you wet something, then hit him with Chain Lightning, that's the same as getting the value of 2 level 6 spells. And then you do it again. So you effectively casted 4 level 6 spells in one turn. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay, that's going to be it for the weapons. Now let's talk about armor. So hide armor, this is exactly this. You could get this as early as level 2 from any trader, super easy to pickpocket or buy, and it is just dexterity, medium armor that gives you +1 to dex ability throws. The Jolty Vest comes from the Zentarium hideout, and whenever the wearer takes damage while having lightning charges, the attacker must succeed a dexterity throw or become shocked. So
this is very good with the Spell Sparkler.
Yeah, if you are going to play a lightning charge build like a sorcerer or anything, you might as well wear this because you can get it super early. And right here, cannot take reactions and has disadvantage on ability checks for using dexterity. Like, it's not good, but you're not going to complain about having it either. And it's just like the best armor a sorcerer is going to get early on anyway. Poisoner's Robe, if you're going to play a poison build, this is just 1d4 to all your poison. Why not use it? Protecty Sparks Wall. Okay, so first off, this gives you 1 armor class, which kind of sucks, and saving throws as long as they have lightning charges, and 1 bonus to spell save DC. If you are a pure, like, wizard, and you're using lightning charges, you refuse to multi-class to get any proficiencies, this is going to be the best you're going to get. But don't do that, man. For the love of God, just put 1 level into, like, cleric, preferably 2 levels into fighter, and just wear like heavy armor. You'll have like 20 AC in Act 1 if you do that as a fucking spellcaster. The Graceful Cloth, this item is legitimately broken. You get it in the Monastery Trail, and it gives you +2 dexterity and Cat's Grace. So real quick, Cat's Grace gives you advantage on dexterity checks, whatever they might be. So this is giving you a permanent +2 to dexterity. So this is raising your dex proficiency by 1 for every dexterity, everything in the entire game. And this is giving you a permanent level 2 spell effect. So that's nice. Hide Armor +2. As soon as you get level 5, you can upgrade this into this to get 14 AC +2, so 16 AC +1 initiative. Considering how you can get level 5 like halfway into Act 1, so before you've gotten any notable armor, this is really good for like your bow builds. This is the best armor. Yeah, this is the best armor in Act 1. And just straight up, I'm going to be real with you. If you're playing in any optimized environment, straight up, you just make both of these. You spend both the mithril ores into these. and you just do this. If you could have everyone in the party wear this, you probably would. Because all incoming damage is reduced by 2 is the single best line of text on almost any item in this entire game. Like, this has got to be a top 3 most powerful effect in the entire game. Then you have this, which makes this insane for your melee attackers. So this sends people reeling. So recovering from blah, blah, blah has -1 penalty to attack roll for every turn remaining. So this means that if you give this to like your cleric or your fighter who are gonna be in melee the entire time, then this means every time they get hit, they give -3 attack rolls to the person that hit them. You can also never be critically hit, which is fucking big.
Yeah, because why not?
If you don't know why it's big, read all about the mechanics of critical hits, and it's like, dude, it's a pretty big deal. Oh, and by the way, when you stack reeling with something like reverberating or the luminous items on like a quick attacking sorcerer, you can get to the point where you are consistently throwing out like fucking -13 in one turn to an enemy's attack rolls, which basically means with like the 20 AC that heavier armors provide, you will just never get hit. Anyway, this is an Act 2 item, and while raging, the wearer generates 2 turns of wrath, and you get 2 constitution. And this is just +2 bonus damage. So this is basically while raging +2 bonus damage and +1 to your constitution, like everything.
Apparently it doesn't work right now though.
Yeah, but it's still worth knowing about.
Yeah.
This is one of the best armors in the game. This is fucking insane, especially for like a magic missile sorcerer. When the wearer deals radiant damage, they cause a radiant shockwave. And you get this in Act 1, which is just so ridiculous. So, inflict radiating orb in an AoE. So this is an AoE radiant orb. And if you don't know what radiant orb does, this is -1 to attack rolls per remaining turn. So, the way that this works is that, let's say you have 10 of these on you, which is the cap. You have -10 to your attack rolls. -10 to your attack rolls basically means you just don't get to hit enemies. So, that's fucking crazy. And this has more synergy that we're going to talk about later. But the fact that you could just throw this on like a magic missile or a bow build or anything that hits multiple times, and you can make whatever enemy you want just completely unable to attack. This like trivializes most bosses. This is the best medium armor in the entire game for the most part. You get it as soon as you get to Last Light in Act 2. Add your full dexterity modifier to your armor class and give you +1 to initiative rolls. So by the time you're going to get this, like when I play a bow build and I get this, 15 armor class plus my +5 from dex, because you have like 20 dex at this point, and it's like, yeah, okay, sure, this is 20 fucking AC. You will have more AC as a bow build playing this than like heavy armor builds will at this point. Reaper's Embrace is good. It has the magical plate effect. It also has this. You can't be moved against your will, which is nice. This is also really good. Howl of the Dead. Numbed is this. It gets rid of their movement speed, and it gives you advantage on attack rolls. So if you wanted to play like a Spellblade build, this is super good because you just hit this, and you now have advantage. So really, it works for anyone who's going to attack with their weapon. This is just one button advantage. This armor is used in just about every goddamn fucking YouTube video. Yeah. This is 17 armor class medium armor that does not impose a thing against your dex, and it gives you +2 to all saving throws. So this just ends up being like 24 fucking armor class at this point in the game. It's ridiculous. This is the other armor that's in every goddamn YouTube video because it gives you the magical plate effect, and it gives you resistance and blade ward. So if you somehow don't know what this is, resistance and blade ward is 1d4 to your saving throws and half damage taken from all physical. So yeah, like I don't know what else to say. This is arguably the best armor in the entire game. Like if every build could, every build ever would wear this. Ballast armor is really good because Aura of Murder. It makes enemies vulnerable to piercing damage, which gives you double piercing damage, and it gives you +2 initiative. So the reason why, first off, it's 14 AC with full dex modifier. So at this point in the game, it's going to be like 20 AC, which when you combine that with like the luminous armor for the negative to attack rolls, you're getting to the point where this is just free double damage for you while making you immune to taking damage. Bone Spike, this 15 temp HP whenever you rage and reduces all incoming damage by 2. Like, this is okay. I wouldn't really recommend this, but like, you can make it work. Okay, that's it for chest armor. Now we move on to this Shadow of Menza, to helmet armor. Now we move on to helmet armor. Advantage on attack rolls and imposes disadvantage on enemy attack rolls. Pretty good. It's just invisible for free. So this is an Act 1 item that you get in the Mycid colony, and it's just free invisibility. You just act... Oh, wait, hold on. I do want to check. I think this is a bonus. No, this is a full action. So this is like if your fighter Misty steps in, does some shit, and needs to get out. This just gives you one button, get out at any point. Holy Lance Helm. Anything that misses against you basically just takes 1d4 radiant damage, which, as we've already established, if you use some of these items, people will miss against you all the goddamn time. So this is just free 1d4 damage you can throw out most of the time. This is a shield that gives you +1 to saving throws. If you're going to wear a shield, you might as well wear this because you get it in the Druid Grove right away.
Yeah, just throw it in the offense.
This is in a locked chest in the Goblin camp. This is like near the back, like where Crusher is. And this item is pretty crazy. If you ever fall below 50% HP, you gain 8 temp HP. Which, considering how you get this at level 3, just by you go straight to the fucking, what's it called? To the Goblin camp, and as a drow, and do all the dialogue, you just basically get level 3. Let's say you're a level 3 wizard. Bro, you probably only have like 17, 20 hit points. So this is like half your hit points for free that you just get. You get this by getting the adamantine armor. And the reason why this is good is mostly because of Hunter's Mark as a bonus action. Mark a creature to deal an additional 1d6 weapon damage when you hit it with a weapon attack. By the time you get this, your fighters are going to have improved attack and they're going to have action surge. So they do one attack. It's like, so they do an attack. Then they do their bonus attack. This averages out to be 3 damage, so that's 6 damage. Then you bonus it to action, do it again. This averages out to be like 12 damage for your fighter. So pretty good. Haste Helm just gives you 3 turns of momentum, and you get this in the Blighted Village, which you go to like right at the start of the game. This just gives you this effect. It's just more move speed, which as a fighter, you love move speed. The Lifebringer. This item is shockingly good for its value. When the wearer gains lightning charges, which is just basically constantly, they gain 3 temporary hit points. So this just gives you a permanent +3 HP if you're going to be using lightning charges. Warpia's Crown. You get this from Zevlor after you kill everyone in the Goblin camp. And when healing another, the wearer regains, on average, 3 hit points. Well, it's very easy to heal at least 4 people. So 3 times 4, this averages out to be +12 hit points. Super strong item. Diadem of Arcane Synergy. This is a Kresh item, and whenever you inflict a condition, which could be something like Reverberation, which is super easy to do, weapon attacks deal additional damage equal to the affected entity's spellcasting ability modifier. Okay, so, when you inflict a condition, gain Arcane Synergy for 2 turns. It is totally possible to do something like where you're like a Warlock or a Paladin, and you've got Charisma as your attack modifier, like for your attack rolls and damage rolls, and then you do this on top of it. So you have like +4 damage from your charisma, then you get this. This is another +4 on top of that. This is basically the Titan String Bow effect, but for melee users. It's super overpowered. Then this item is even better. When you deal damage with a weapon attack, you gain Arcane Acuity. Affected enemy has a +1 bonus to spell attack rolls and spell save DC for each turn. This caps out at 10.
It's literally just the same, but better.
No. This is a different effect. So, let's say you're playing a hand crossbow build where you attack like 12 times in one turn. This gives you +10 bonus to your spell attacks and your spell save. So, +10 to spell save, that just straight up means that you are flat out not going to ever get crowd controlled. Ever. Because you have like +15, you get like 5 from your save modifier, +10 from this. You have like 15 baseline like advantage. So you roll and then you just get +15 to never get crowd controlled. And on top of that, your spell attacks, so like your cantrips and shit, get +10 to their attack roll, so they never miss. This item is busted. This is a shield that gives +3 armor class. Just, if you're gonna hold a shield, you might as well hold this one. If you're gonna get branded by the Absolute, all damage received from spells reduced by 1. Pretty good for an early game item.
Which, if you don't know, by the way, you probably should do that. There's a lot of items that are actually pretty decent early on that you get, which only work with the Mark of the Absolute.
Gain +3 initiative rolls and has advantage on perception checks, and you get this like at the start of Act 2. You can just beeline to Moonrise. This just goes in your offhand, and it's basically the alert feat. This is Arcane Acuity for whenever you deal fire damage. This is Arcane Acuity for thunder damage. Both of these are Act 2. This one comes from the Strange Ox, and this one comes from Moonrise Towers. This is just +1 attack to bow builds, which I'm not going to complain.
Also helps the stylish points as well.
Yeah, this is another Moonrise Tower item. This item comes from from Balthazar and Gauntlet of Shar, and this item is really good. It gives all your undead 50% reduced physical damage. So if you're playing a Necromancer, might as well take this. +2 to attack rolls when attacking creature is taking damage. That's basically everything. And your melee attacks deal an additional 2 necrotic damage as long as you aren't at full health, basically all the time. And this comes from whoever the fuck this is. Yeah, this is just a merchant. You just straight up go up and buy this off of him. This is +2 to spell save and spell attack. You just buy it. You just go up to this guy and buy it. Mask of Perception is +2 to attack and initiative, so it's really strong. And you just lockpick this out of the Devil's Fee. When you deal fire damage with a non-cantrip spell, you burn yourself and gain an additional bonus action. You need to weaponize your bonus. By Act 3, you have reached the point where you should just be weaponizing your bonus attacks. So, like, your bonus attack should be extra attacks or spells or whatever. So this is just an extra attack, is how you read this. And this comes from the Sorcerer's Vault. A lot of items are going to come from there. Which, by the way, you can go to the Sorcerer's Vault literally the second Act 3 starts. So this comes from Savrock from the Murder Council. This item's really good. You can't be frightened and cannot be afflicted with other emotion-altering conditions, which is basically all of them. And so this is Dark Vision, and this is another crit reduction item. Birthright.
Yeah, you're going to see this a lot.
Yeah, every fucking YouTube build wants you to use this. So you stack this with Duke Ravengard's sword to go up to 24 charisma, and this is just +2 charisma, and it comes from all these sources. Bone Spike Helmet. When you rage, hostile creatures must succeed a whatever, or they take on average 4 damage. The target receives half on a save. And Menacing Attack. So this is just once per turn, you get a Menacing Attack, which is just a stronger basic attack that can... So this is extra damage to your... So yeah. Weapon damage plus 1d8. So this is average out 4 damage and possibly Frighten. So this item is going to average out to be like fucking... This is average for 8 extra damage. Just for a head item. Really strong. And this is another +1 shield. Okay, so now we go to gloves. Gloves of archery are insane. You get them from the Goblin Camp Trader, so you get it literally like 20 or like 10 minutes after the Nautiloid. And this gives you +2 damage to your ranged attacks, and this gives you proficiency with longbows. which invalidates that as a racial bonus. This just sets your dexterity to 18 and you buy it from the creche. It also gives you +1 to attack rolls. So really strong. You could take this and dump dex on 90% of builds. This is a cloak that you just get from the Dark Urge, and every time you kill something, you become invisible. So basically, you fucking kill something and you can't take any damage until you decide to go out of invisibility. And guess what? You go out of invisibility on the next turn, which means you can proc this again. Basically, whoever you put this on for the rest of the game, they just kind of don't take combat damage for most encounters. When the wearer deals...
another big one.
This item is huge. So basically, whenever you deal any of these damage types, you deal Reverberation. Very easy to deal Thunder and Radiant damage, and this is a Creche item. Reverberation is one of the best conditions in the game. -1 penalty to Strength, Dex, and Constitution, so half of all saving throws ever. When you have 5 or more, you take on average 2 damage, and you have to succeed a check which you have a huge penalty on, by the way, or you fall prone. And prone is really big because it makes it so that they lose like half of their move speed, is basically how you look at it. This item you get from the Druid Grove, so literally 5 minutes after the Nautiloid, you pick this up. And this just allows you to spend a reaction to basically not take damage from a missile attack, like any bow. It's whatever. It's just the fact that you get it so fucking early, and it just nullifies an enemy's attack action. Gloves of Power. So if you are going to get branded by the Absolute for, say, the Thunder Damage Ring, you might as well take this, because this allows you to apply Bane to an enemy when you attack them. Gloves of the Underdog. This item is crazy. You get this from this area. This is the this is the Temple of Saloon. I always forget this fucking area. This is part of the Goblin Camp. But yeah, so this is a Goblin Camp item, and it gives you advantage on melee attack rolls. You're basically always going to be surrounded when you're in melee. So you grab this like 20% of the way into Act 1, and for the rest of the game, your melee fighter just gets advantage. Gloves of Thievery. This just lets you roll 2 die if you're going to do any pickpocketing, which is insane. This is a Xantharium item. You pickpocket this off of Hell or Zevlor as soon as you go into the Druid Grove. And this is whenever you heal a creature, they take half damage from physical attacks. So I just want you to understand. You throw this on a cleric or anyone with an AoE heal. They do an AoE heal 1 time. And for the next 2 turns, the whole party takes half physical damage. Do you have any idea how fucking strong that is? Luminous Gloves. When the wearer deals radiant damage, the target receives 1 turn of Radiating Orb. This is basically just another way to get the Luminous Chest effect if you want to get that -10 to attacks on enemies. Dark Justiciar Gauntlets. Oh yeah, I should mention, this comes from Ruined Battlefield. You literally just jump right to these in the start of Act 2. This is unfortunately like an end of Act 2 item, and you have to kill the Night Song for them, but they're not bad. Your weapon attacks deal an additional 2 damage, and you get saving throws, and you get this as a bonus action spell. So the spell causes a creature to take necrotic damage if it enters or starts its turn, in this area, basically. So you just slap this on someone as a bonus action, and they take an extra 4 damage per turn, is basically how you would read this. Thunderskin Cloak. Oh yeah, this one's really good. When a creature of Reverberation deals damage to the wearer, the creature needs to make a Constitution or become dazed, and you get this as a Moonrise Tower item. So with all the ways that you should be putting Reverberation on something, this is just, if they hit you, they get dazed, which then gives them disadvantage on Wisdom saving throws, and loses dexterity bonus to their armor class, which makes them easier to hit. And if you remember, if you reverberate a creature, they get penalties to Strength, Dex, and Con. So this now makes your Reverberation basically give them penalties to Strength, Dex, Con, and Wisdom. Literally only Intelligence and Charisma. That's the only thing they got left. Whenever you take melee damage, they take on average 2 damage. You get this from House of Healing. You just lockpick it, and like whatever. It's not good, but you might as well throw it on your fighter. This is +1 to armor class, and you just buy it from Last Light Inn. Again, you just throw it on for extra armor class. When you deal psychic damage, which a gift fighter will always do, you inflict mental fatigue for 2 turns. And this is -1 penalty to wisdom, intelligence, and charisma. So, in an optimized team, you will easily be putting like -10 to attack rolls, -10 to all physical saving throws, -5 to all magical saving throws on everything.
On top of not being able to get crit, on top of having like an AC of 20, it's just it's very hard.
You can literally get this item as soon as you start Act 2. And this is just 1d4 fire damage to weapon attacks. And if you're a monk, 1d4 necrotic and fire damage. Dark Justiciar Gauntlets. This is just, weapon attacks. This is the same thing as the blue version, just with like 1 less effect. And you get it in the Gauntlet of Shard. Whenever your weapon attack roll inflicts a condition, this is just another way to get Arcane Acuity. And you get this from this area, the Toll House, where you fight the gold bitch. So this item turns off your healing when you have the ability active, but it's just permanent attack roll advantage. So if you aren't going to need healing, might as well. This item is fucking overpowered, but it's so easy to not get it. So when you are doing the Temple of Baal, you have to, the guy casting the spell, you have to not kill him.
Yeah.
You have to.
This.
Yeah, so you already forgot.
Yeah,
this is one of the ads that gets spawned in that turn where you have 5 fights to stop the power word kill from happening. You have to kill this guy and loot his body before you kill the channeler. And then you just ignore the physical damage resistances. This item is basically mandatory. It effectively doubles your damage in Act 3 if you're a physical damage dealer. This just sets your strength to 23, so if you're not using your gauntlet slot for anything else, there's no harm in it. Hell Dust Gloves, this is another House of Hope item, but this is 1d6 fire. This is just an upgrade to the Act 2 version. Cloak of Displacement, this one's actually surprisingly powerful. At the beginning of your turn, enemies have disadvantage on attack rolls against you until you take damage, which when you have like 24 AC and Luminous on them, making them have like -5 to their attack rolls, and now they have disadvantage. Yeah, this is your guaranteed never get hit item.
Yeah, I remember some fights where we would, like, there would be an entire turn, like 10 enemies, they would all attack, not a single one would hit. They would all miss. Over and over and over and over and over again.
When casting a spell that requires an attack roll, you can take a -5 penalty to the roll to deal an additional 1d8 damage. So this is basically sharpshooter for spells. So this is a feat's level of power. And yeah, you get this. Fortunately and unfortunately, this is from the Dribbles bullshit. Dribbles is the most obscure quest in the entire game. Literally just walk up to this bitch and pickpocket them and enjoy your free feat. Shade, while hiding the number you need. So again, you just throw this on and like you have 33% chance to crit when you have the Savrock Helm, the daggers. You have 2 daggers that give you -1 to your crit requirement. You have this, you have Savrock's Helm, and it's like you have attack with advantage. You now have a 33% chance to crit. Okay, now this is a big one. Now we move on to boots and a few other item slots. This is a Goblin Camp item. When the wearer heals a target, it gains an additional 3 temporary hit points. It's just free temp HP for your healer. When the wearer inflicts a condition on a hostile creature, they also inflict 2 turns of reverberation. So you would put this on someone who's going to inflict things that aren't reverberation, and now they get to inflict reverberation as well. Like poison or literally anything. This is like the best fighter item in the entire game. This allows you to...
Heals is so fucking good, dude. It is so amazingly good.
You can go to the Underdark and just speech check this off the bitch, like, immediately. And this allows you to use dash as a bonus action, which gives you like 30 meters of movement speed, which is absurd. It makes it so your fighter never has to worry about getting into melee again. This is just, it basically makes it so you can't slip or be slowed down, and it gives you Misty Step as a bonus action, which, again, so if you've got 2 melee fighters, give one of them this, give the other one the Boots of Speed, they will never have to worry about getting into melee again. They can spend their bonus action, get into melee, and there you go. This is 8 temporary hit points whenever you cast something with concentration, and it's a Kresh item. Like, why not, you know? If you're a spellcaster, what the fuck else are you gonna wear, you know? Might as well use this, and whenever you haste someone, you just take the free HP. This is just Misty Step in your amulet slot. This stacks with guidance and is just free guidance. This is average 3 extra damage to your melee fighter if you're going to get it off Kaga. There is a way to get it off Kaga and get the good ending, where you just knock her unconscious after she moves. It's like before the camp party, but after you finish the Investigate Kaga quest, she'll be in the room where Zevlor is after all the tieflings have left. You just knock her out there. When one of your cantrips deal any elemental damage, add your spellcasting modifier. And this is a Kresh item. Hey man, if you're gonna be using, like, so let me paint you a picture. This allows you to add your spellcasting modifier to your cantrips. So if you apply Wet to an enemy, and then you use, like, Ray of Frost, which is like a 2 to 20 damage thing, it's going to average out to 10 damage. This makes it average out to, like, 15 damage. Then you have Wet on them to double that, so this averages out to 30 damage. Bro, a 30 damage cantrip near the end of Act 1? Who the fuck is going to complain about that? You know, like, no spell slots. Oh, and then if you use the Morning Frost thing as well, that's another point of damage. And, well, technically 2 points of damage. And guess what? That allows it to freeze. So you deal 32 damage and you stun someone for a turn, all for no spell slot cost. Hey, man, that's pretty good to me. Whenever you're concentrating, you deal an extra 2 damage on all your attack rolls. This is a Kresh item. So basically, if you're going to do a weapon attack, just make sure you're concentrating on literally anything. You can concentrate on resistance to get 50% less physical damage, for example. If you steal the Sacred Idol after you deal with all the good ending shit, you can just turn this into Maul and you get no penalties for it, and it's just free armor class for the rest of the game. This gives
Smuggler's Ring is really good.
This is insane. This just gives you a +1 to your actual rolls for pickpocketing. This is just free invisibility if someone doesn't have it. You get this by talking to the Dragar off to the left that are kicking bodies into the river. Restore a single spell slot of 3rd level. You buy this off of Omelium, and this is just a free level 3 spell slot. It's a free fireball. And when you get this item, you probably only have 2 level free spell slots. So this is just an extra fireball per rest. This gives you, when you heal a creature. So this item is big, and this is a huge part of why having a healer is such a big deal. You loot this off of Volvo, like, immediately in the Goblin Camp, and guess what? This is just extra guidance. So you have someone put guidance on, then have them heal to proc that 50% resistance to damage and all that other shit that we talked about with the healer items, and it gives them extra guidance. So this plus guidance averages out to fucking +2 to everyone's attack rolls. +4. Because you have guidance and this, each averaging out to 2. +4 to attack rolls is big early on. That'll take a 65% chance to hit and turn it into like an 85% chance to hit. This item enables Magic Missile as a build because, so Magic Missile being upcast, by the way, all that does is make the Magic Missile shoot another one. That's it. It doesn't actually increase its damage. So this is basically turn all of your magic missiles into a 1 higher level spell slot. So if you cast Magic Missile as a 9th level spell, by the way, it's technically being cast as a 10th level spell. Just fun fact. This just gives anyone in the game guidance at any point. This makes guidance one of the shittiest cantrips. And you can literally get this like before the first fight after the Nautiloid.
You don't even have to literally just put it on your hotbar, and anytime you need it for a speech check, you just click on it and then just swap it out.
This is a Kresh item that allows you to make enemies take 50% more physical damage which, you know, as a bonus action, I think is pretty fucking nutty, because you do this, then you attack, bonus attack, action surge attack, bonus attack, that, and then you consider that those all just got 50%ed. That's like adding 2 extra attacks worth of damage. This is a colony item, and this just gives your healer extra bonus action heals. This is just a big free AoE level free heal that you can do as a bonus action. This gives all your weapon attacks 2 items, and it comes from the Myconid colony. This is just insane. This plus the concentration ring averages out to be plus 4 damage to all attacks. When you consider that greatswords have like 1d8 damage, so a greatsword averages out to like 4 fucking damage as a base, this is like adding a second attack in. Crusher's Ring. You just throw this on someone who has to use their move speed, and this just gives them like 30% more move speed. If you're getting the absolute brand, you're probably doing it for this. This stacks with Falu Avar, by the way. So you have one person put Falu Avar on, activate Shriek, have the person who's going to do like Magic Missile to hit like 5 times, an enemy 5 times per attack. And yeah, this is just 1 additional Falu Avar damage. So if you're going to be like a bard or a hand attack or a hand crossbow person or a magic missile, or if you're going to do AoE hits that hit more than 2 people, this averages out to be plus 3 damage in a ring. This is one of the highest damage increasing rings in the game if you're going to use Falu Avar, which you should. So you use this plus Falu Avar plus the other rings that I'm mentioning, and you're consistently getting like plus 6 to 10 damage on every attack. All the way, all in Act 1. Callous Glow Ring. This comes from a chest near Balthazar, and this enables you to deal 2 points of radiant damage. Illumination is super easy. You just cast light on your fighter, who needs to be in range to do Falu Avar anyway. So, like, if you want to have a full healer, just hold Falu Avar, give them light, have them activate Shriek, keep them in melee, just free damage for someone. When you deal thunder damage to a reverberating creature, it becomes dazed. So this just applies daze to everything, which applies this effect, which really strong, Moonrise Tower item. When the wearer deals damage with a ranged spell attack, inflict 2 turns of reverberation. So again, if you want to have
reverberation,
want to have reverberation for literally 0 investment, just throw this on and you'll cap reverberation in like 1 cast of Magic Missile. This item comes from the Mimics, which are like way off to the left. Oh, no, wait, never mind. Sorry, this is a Moonrise Tower one. I thought this was from the Mimics in Act 1. This is a Last Light In item, and it's just armor class in the boot slot. If you're playing a bow build where you don't need to use your movement and you don't really need anything else, you might as well use this. This, of any level, is a bonus action once per long rest. So basically, this is just like a free level 9... I'm sorry, not level 9. This is just a free fucking level 6 spell slot. That's cool. And you get this in Moonrise Towers. Here's another Moonrise Tower item that everybody wants. Advantage on attack rolls. That's it. Yeah, sure. Disadvantage on saving throws literally doesn't matter. This is just advantage on attack rolls. This is Last Light In item, and it gives you free invisibility and blur. And blur is actually pretty good. If you don't know what it does, it gives enemies disadvantage on attack rolls. So as a free cast, and it's concentration. So if you're if you want to, by the way, if you want a good way to activate the Githyanki concentration ring, just do this, and it's 10 turns of disadvantage against you. Pretty good, I'd say. This is just a guaranteed crit once per long rest, and you get this in the Gauntlet of Shar. This is a Raphael item. This is like literally the last item you can get in the game, but it is one of the best. 23 Constitution and advantage on Constitution saves. This comes from Act 3, the Lodge. You loot it off of this fucking douchebag. And when a nearby ally is targeted by an attack of any kind, you can use your reaction. Most builds, like a wizard outside of counterspell, don't use their reaction at all. Like a bow build just can't use its reaction to make that attack guaranteed miss. Okay, so this is just turning your action into a guaranteed miss. So if there's an attack that you really need to miss, like they cast fucking Chain Lightning or something, you just use this. There you go, guaranteed miss. This item's really good. Freedom of movement and Long Strider. So you just buy this as soon as you get into Act 3, and you get freedom of movement, which means difficult terrain no longer, like, you basically cannot stop movement. You just always get to move with max move speed. Deals additional damage equal to their wisdom modifier. This is just a huge monk item. This is just like plus 6 damage to a monk. And yeah, it's dropped by this guy. You get him when you meet the Emperor. This is just free Misty Step as a bonus action in the boot slot, which you get this from the circus. Okay, now I want to talk about some items that you should just be on the lookout for, because they're surprisingly plentiful and they completely break the game. First, invisibility pots. In Act 1, you just pickpocket them off of these people, and you just get like 50 of them throughout the course of Act 1. And this is a bonus action invisibility. You just loot like 50, 60 of these and then give 15 of them to each party member. And that means no matter what, for the entire rest of the game, everyone can spend a bonus action to become invisible. If you are invisible, nothing will target you. So if you're like, fuck, dude, I have 5 HP. I really need to get out of this. You know, I'm going to die if I end my turn. Just use this. You're good. You get healed back up to full. You're good. This item if you only get like 7 of these throughout your playthrough, it's whatever. But if you can use these on demand whenever you want throughout the entire playthrough, it's legitimately broken.
It's super easy with pickpocketing and also just partial rest over and over and over to reset things.
So
potion speed also.
This item, you get it from hyena ears and any salt. And by the way, the crafting system in the game, really easy to exploit, because while you're pickpocketing everything else, just steal this shit that gets turned into salt anyway. So you know all those gnolls that are dead and that you fight?
In Act 1, yeah.
Yeah, you can make, if I remember correctly, you can make about 13 of these in Act 1. And this gives you +2 AC, which is huge. Advantage on dex saves, which is nice. Gives you fucking 9 meters of movement speed. But the crazy thing, gives you an extra action. So this is 3 turns of +1 action. Fucking insane. And this is a bonus action. So this effectively allows you to weaponize bonus actions early on. And you can get like 13 of them before your first combat. I want to talk about arrows, because some arrows just flat out break the game. Arrows of many targets can hit 4 people. So if you're playing like a bowbard, you do your action, that hits 4 people. You do your extra attack, that hits 4 people. So that's 8 people that you hit. You use action surge, that hits 4 people. Now you hit 12. You get your extra attack from that action surge. That hits 16. You use your haste pot beforehand. So that hits 4 people. Now you're up to 20. You get an extra attack from that. Now you hit 24 people. Now you use your war cleric. You put 1 level into war cleric to use that bonus attack. You hit 4 more people. You're hitting like 30 people. You're getting 30 attacks in per turn. Each one benefiting from those from all those plus weapon damage items that we just talked about. That is how you deal like 1,000 damage in 1 turn in honor mode still. Smoke powder arrows are good because they deal force damage and they knock people back. And these, you should pickpocket the fuck out of these every time, because dragons, aberrations, and humanoids. Aberrations, there are some really powerful ones throughout the game. And this just flat out doubles your damage. So, like, Raphael, Mind Flayers... I'm sorry. Hold on. This should be somewhere on here. So, yeah.
Aberrations, yeah.
Dragons. Okay, so, aberrations. Mind Flayers, Intellect Devourers. I don't know what the fuck countermeasures means. But there's a lot of aberrations. The final boss, this is just double DPS versus the final boss. Which, funny enough... That's where this stuff really matters.
Yeah, because if you don't know the mechanic,
you die in 3 turns.
Yeah. So it's really of the essence to do as much damage as physically possible.
Now, there may only be 2 dragons in the entire game, but God, are they scary.
They are scary, yeah.
So double damage versus them to put them down in like 2 or 3 turns is very important. And humanoid slaying is pretty self-explanatory, I feel like. And then you have like undead. Oh, by the way, elemental slaying arrows, I want to point out, are super important because elementals are basically fucking resistant to goddamn everything. And there is a part in Act 3 where you just get rushed by these things. Grenades, specifically smoke powder bombs. You can pick up like 30 of these goddamn things like super early on in Act 3, and they deal 3d4, so 3 rolls of 4, that averages out to 2, 2, 2, 6 plus 9. These things average out to 15 damage in a fucking huge fireball radius, and you can get like 20 of them before your first combat. So like, you know, this allows you to basically cast fireball for free, or like for an action. So until you get like level 4 or 5, just throwing these things is going to trivialize every goddamn combat encounter. And this Elixir of Bloodlust, I want to point this out because whenever you kill someone, you gain 5 hit points and an additional action. This stacks with haste potions, by the way. Because it's an elixir, it's active until you long rest. So remember when I was talking about Bobard? Yeah, I forgot to mention. You kill one thing to proc this, and you get 2 more attacks. Yeah. Bobard can attack 40 enemies per turn. I just absurdly overpowered. And the way you make this is salt plus a warg fang. And guess what? Act 1 is fucking riddled with wargs, and this chick sells them in the mushroom colony. So every rest, pick these up. I will consistently have like 20, 25 of these by the end of Act 1. Which is more than enough for the rest of the game. So then you consider that these stack. Okay, that is like literally everything I noticed coming through the wiki that you're gonna want to make use of. Just about everything. All right, enjoy.